Greg, how do you see blockchain technology really revolutionizing industry?
Well, blockchain has a whole bunch of uses, right? There's cryptocurrency and there's distributed ledger technology. The fundamentals that underlie the crypto, the Bitcoin kind of things, are magnificent for new business ventures like the one that we're building. We don't use crypto, but the basic technology parts were essential for what we're doing.
And what do you think the applications are going to be in your business? You're launching something in the fall, commercializing all this.
So in our business, we have the service called SecureKey Concierge, which about 8 million Canadians use to log in to government. You can use my bank login and come across and just not have another number, letter, uppercase, lowercase password to remember. I can use my bank, and when I come back again, I can log in again next year as opposed to forgetting my password and doing the reset and all the rest. We needed to get to a service where I could share identity. So I could show up the first time at a bank or at a telco at government and prove I'm actually Greg. And how do you do that and get rid of a lot of the fraud that's happening and do it in a trusted and secure way? So we
and
found
the identity theft and all of those issues.
Identity theft and all the rest. So what if I can prove it's me because Royal Bank or TD Bank says, yes, this is Greg Wolfond right now, and Roger says it's on this device with the SIM in the device, then the relying party, the place I'm going, can actually trust it's me. So I don't end up in a call center trying to answer questions I don't know the answer to. I don't end up, they don't end up with fake driver's licenses with people putting mortgages on people's houses. The whole idea is, how do you make it easier for consumers to prove they're them and harder for a bad person to become them?
What do you think will be the next step for identity on blockchain?
So this is it. So we're launching this service called Verified Me, and it's an ecosystem. So it's banks and telcos and governments and other providers that allow me to show up and get things done, right? So if I want to rent an apartment, what do I have to prove to the landlord? I have to prove that I'm really Greg, that my credit score is over 500, that I have an income, that I have a background check, that I'm good. What if I could do that in a couple clicks and they could trust me to let me in to get the apartment? Today that takes hours of my time to get it done. Getting a cell phone takes 30 minutes. What if I can prove it's me because I validated against my BC driver's license and TD Bank says it's Greg? Boom, they could let me in to get that phone like that. They'd have less fraud and I'd have a better experience.
When you talk about ecosystems, you've several times successful entrepreneurs, so you know how hard it is to build ecosystems.
Absolutely.
And it's always about kickstarting those things with network effects. How do you go about doing it in this context?
Yeah, I think for us, we were lucky because we built Concierge and we had most of the nation's major banks and smaller banks and credit unions in that, and so millions of Canadians using it. When we wanted to go to identity, we went back and talked to our bank partner and said, look, this identity is a problem. It's a problem in call center, it's a problem in person, it's a problem online. And so you saw about 18 months ago, most of the major banks, so Royal Bank and TD and Scotia and BMO and CIBC and Desjardins National all invested in us to say, yeah, this is a problem that needs to get solved, not just for banks, but for Canada.
And you see those big institutions like Sun Life and Desjardins National Bank, you see them as partners, not enterprise customers. How does the partnership work?
So at the end of the day, it should be the consumer's choice. It should be my choice to be able to share my data. I want to show up at Sun Life to prove that I'm me to access my benefits. I never remember my member ID. Like, do you remember your member ID? Do you remember your login to that service? What they want is they want me to be able to prove who I am using other sources that they can trust so they can let me in to see my benefits and do more services with them in an easier way without me calling the call center and getting stuck and causing frustration for me and cost for them. So they're really forward thinking and say, hey, I want to be able to use this to make a better experience for my customers.
Where do you think the regulator comes into this process and identity?
So regulation is all over this, right? So we have to meet privacy by design, which is the regulation in Canada. We have to meet this new GDPR, the global privacy legislation that's there, which means when you're sharing your data, you should consent every time. Hey, Greg, do you consent to share this data from TD Bank, this data from the telco, this data from Equifax even?
On a case-by-case basis.
On a case-by-case basis. Every single time you consent, you see what you're sharing and you say yes. So it's not Facebook. But if I can do that and only I can see where I share it, then I have a log of where I've shared, I can turn off sharing, and we don't store any data in the blockchain. So we use it as a mechanism to record proof so that you consented to your data, but we don't keep the data in the middle. So the whole point is we're trying to make this we call triple blind privacy. The bank shouldn't know where I'm going. The receiving party doesn't necessarily get to know everything about me, only what they need to know, like I'm over 21 and here's my face. And the network itself doesn't see anything. We don't see any of the data.
So triple blind privacy is a concept that is fascinating to people.
Yeah.
You're pioneering in it. How do you make it work and make people adopt it?
It's hard. Like, this is not a SecureKey thing. It's not a bank thing. We had to get all these banks. We had to get provinces. We had to get some of the telco partners we're working with and others to work with to say, look, we need a standard to do this because this benefits everyone. This benefits small business. If I'm a small business trying to bring on a customer or open an account at a merchant site, anywhere I am, I need to be able to prove who I am. And anyone who's been on the phone with someone like CRA trying to answer the questions and you can't answer them, the bad guys, they're calling every day. They're making fake calls. They're trying to get my data so they can go improve their me to get money out of the system. We've got to find a way to make it easier for us to be us and share our data. And then the bad guys, it makes it much harder for them to be us.